Hey guys, I'm Dr. Megan Faulkner with Apex Sports Medicine, and this is Bethany Shadburn, and we're here at Streamline CrossFit going over our movement prep for 19.3. So this workout has 4 different movements: our dumbbell overhead lunge, dumbbell box step-ups, strict handstand push-ups, and lastly the handstand walk. So this is a really shoulder-intensive workout. So we're going to take you through warming up the shoulders and getting you ready to crush 19.3. Go. So the first section of our movement prep is always to mobilize tissue. We've done a lot of these foam rolling or self-myofascial release moves already in some of the first 2 videos, so I'm going to go pretty briefly over them. The first one, we want to make sure that we're foam rolling or using the lacrosse ball for the upper traps. Upper traps do most of our overhead pressing, or a lot of it, so we want to get that tissue nice and warmed up. Okay, so take the lacrosse ball here. You'll push into the rig, and as always, we're using some sort of active motion here to shorten and lengthen that tissue. So you're going to do about 5 movements here, find 2 or 3 tender spots on each trap, and work through all of that tissue, getting it warmed up, ready to go. Okay.
All right, see y'all guys. Go.
So last week we showed you guys a myofascial release for the posterior shoulder. So a little bit of your external rotators here. When they're short and tight, we actually really can't swing the arm forward into flexion as well. So we want to mobilize that tissue, get it loosened up so that we can also get overhead and get into full arm or shoulder flexion. So you'll start, turn it all the way around for him. So where your arm meets your back, you're going to put the ball right through there, swing around onto the wall. There you go. So what you're gonna do is start with the arm, rotate it in, hand facing your face, and then you're gonna press up overhead and rotate your hand facing the wall. You wanna move about 3 or 5 times in whatever spot is tender, and then you're gonna move to one more spot. And as always, you'll do both sides.
Go.
So this is a new move for you guys this week. I call it the thoracic mobility move. The idea is we're gonna mobilize the entire thoracic spine. Thoracic spine mobility is directly linked with how well we can get our shoulders or our arms overhead. So if our spine is stuck in flexion, which this means thoracic spine flexion, and we don't get as much of our overhead capability, whereas if we can get stacked and a little bit extended, we have a lot more range of motion overhead with the shoulder. So what you'll do is start on the foam roller. You're gonna start it at the bottom of the ribs. That's the bottom of our thoracic spine, and then you're gonna fulcrum over that foam roller. You'll hold for a second or 2 at the back here. Good, keep your butt on the ground, and then you're just gonna inch down, perfect. Now you can keep your arms crossed here, or you can add the arms overhead to add a little bit of extra pressure on that foam roller. Good, and then inch down. So you wanna take a trip up the spine. At the top, the foam roller will stop at the scapula, and then you can take one more trip down, and then you're good to go. Nice. Our last mobilization move is our quads. We're gonna do a bunch of box step-ups, so make sure we are prepping the legs to get ready to go. We've done this the last 2 weeks, so we'll just briefly go through it. Start with your hips facing down towards the ground. Start at the knee. You're gonna pump twice at that spot, and then you'll inch up the foam roller. Good. On the quads. And then again, a little bit of like a pin and stretch type of move, always doing some sort of active component to shorten and lengthen that muscle to help specifically break up any muscle spasm or tension that may be there. Okay.
Go.
So we're moving into our stabilization portion of the movement prep. We've mobilized all of our tissues. Now we need to come back around and stabilize and activate everything to make sure that it is ready to go for movement. One of my absolute favorite exercises to help stabilize the shoulder is the arm bar. It does several things. It helps to stabilize the rotator cuff. It also helps to mobilize the thoracic spine into rotation. So we're gonna have Bethany here start with a very light kettlebell. So, same arm and leg, start here. You're gonna be really actively punching towards the ceiling here. Good. And the goal is to get this same-sided hip down to the opposite side of the ground. Good. If at any point you feel that the shoulder's wobbling, you're gonna pause right there, let everything stabilize, keep it really nice and active and punching towards the ceiling. Good. And then you're gonna hang out here. Get 2 nice big breaths through your belly once you get here to this ending spot. Good. and then you'll roll out of that. So you're gonna do this 5 times per side, again with a very light kettlebell. Make sure you keep your eyes on the kettlebell the whole time in case things go wrong and you have to toss it. But again, it shouldn't be so heavy that you're really struggling through this movement.
Go.
So the next exercise we're gonna do is a banded overhead dumbbell press. The band is gonna help whenever you separate to go and press overhead. We have to activate the scapula. We'll show you that in a second. And then of course, since we're doing a ton of overhead work, we're gonna be using the dumbbells, which also force each shoulder to stabilize on their own. And then we're gonna push up overhead, which is again grooving that same pattern that we're doing basically throughout this entire workout. Go ahead. So you do 10 reps of this. Nice and strict, nice and slow, very controlled. No push pressing with the legs. Good. And keeping tension on the band the entire time. So we're gonna show you from the back. That as soon as you pull the band apart, good. We get a really nice active mid back here with scapulas as well.
Go.
So we're gonna continue on with using the band to help activate all the mid back here, the scapula, the shoulders. We're gonna do an arm monster walk. So you wanna keep tension, a little bit of tension on the band the whole time, and you're gonna legitimately walk the hands up the wall here. Good. Pressing to a nice overhead position, and you can press into that as well. And then you'll walk the arms back down. So in and out, in and out. Nice. So you're gonna take 10 trips up and down the wall here. So here's a great move to help warm up the step up or lunge position. A lot of times we are having a lot of trouble when people go into lunge, they have a little bit of a dip of the knee or a valgus collapse of that knee, which wastes a ton of energy because we're going side to side instead of just up and down and using all of our energy to come up and forward. So what we're gonna do here is a single leg RNT lunge. So if you come around here, what we do is we have the band around the outside leg here. And the band is actually acting as a force to pull the knee in. So in reaction, the outside of the hip here has to actually pull the knee around to get it straight up and lined up with the toe here. So then we'll go through 10 lunges right here, activating the outside of the hip, stabilizing this lunge position. So you do 10 reps on each side.
Go.
This next exercise is called the single arm kneeling press, and it really closely mimics the walking lunge with the overhead carry with the dumbbell. So we're gonna start here. So start with, doesn't matter which, but left arm, right leg, so opposite arm and leg. Make sure that you're staying really nice and tight here through the core, squeezing the downside glute, and then you're gonna press overhead, really nice, slow and controlled and tempoed. Again, warming up the overhead movements here, trying to get as specific as possible to the movements you're actually going to be doing in the workout. You're going to do 10 reps here on either side. Remember to change the legs when you change the arm.
Go.
So this next exercise, we're going to be doing a double arm kettlebell carry, suitcase carry. Get something really heavy. We like kettlebells. A couple things I want to point out. Make sure that you're not sagging under the weight and that you have a really nice tall spine, nice big chest, and that you're pulling and holding those kettlebells away from your body. And you're gonna travel 100 feet total, so 50 feet one way, 50 feet the other way, or if your gym is long enough, that's fine too. And you're gonna walk, you can actually pick up a little bit of speed here. So this, just simply picking up the weight here causes the core to engage, so it's gonna help get you ready. On top of that, we're all holding weights for the step overs or the box step ups. So this is another way that we can warm that movement up. So then you have to get really specific with your warm-up. Run through the actual movements. Again, we do a little mobilization, we do some stabilization, and then you have to actually go through the warm-ups, get warmed up to the working weights. So Bethany's gonna take you through how she would warm up for these specific movements.
So I would do about 2 or 3 rounds of this, 25 feet to 50 feet of the walking lunge, and then about 10 to 15 of the box step-ups, 5 to 10 handstand push-ups, and then about 50 feet on the handstand walk.
Good luck.